is structured, there's an obvious reason why the youth within the black culture choose to rebel and choose and feel a sense of unfairness in the way they're dealt with on a day-to-day basis that possibly white people don't understand. I got a friend of mine, my homegirl, a young white lady. Me and her speak often about race relations and so forth and so on, and she's made certain things apparent to me that I didn't understand or that I may have taken for granted. And she said amongst her family, they take for granted little things like how easy it is to catch a cab. There's a certain privilege that she's enjoyed that when she got around people who weren't enjoying this same privilege, she began to understand the difference. And again, so often these breakdowns of communication are caused by lacks of understanding. And when you look at how slavery affected us to this day, it's situations basically where, we can't get clarification on what's right and what's wrong. Oftentimes between us, we all have our own opinion about what we should be doing to handle our movements in America. And then we don't have no source to go to. Like you look at Italians. Italian people have Italy. So when there's a disagreement about how something is supposed to be handled, and I'm not saying every single situation, but in some situations where there's a disagreement about how things are supposed to be handled culturally, they have their source to look to, they have their homeland to look to, and their forefathers to ask and study, how was this dealt with prior to me even being here? We don't have that as black Americans. We can't look back at Africa and figure, even the people from the Caribbean, to some extent, they can look back, Jamaicans and Haitians and what have you. And I respect that. But even beyond the Caribbean settlement, where the English settled the Caribbean and the French and the Portuguese settled the Caribbean, we don't have no culture in Africa to look back at and understand how it was done by our forefathers to that extent. All we have to look back at slavery. I once was having this conversation with an older black man, and I told him, look, we don't even really have our own foods. Italians have pizza. Chinese people have this, lo mein and what have you. We don't even have our own foods. I was saying this to the old black man. The old black man said, yeah, we do have foods. We have chitlins and all. This wasn't our food. This is what the slave master threw away because they didn't want, so we ate it. It's not our food. So oftentimes that this is where slavery and what was taken from us in terms of culture and history and heritage really has affected us to this day, because oftentimes we can't agree on nothing. And then we don't have any overwhelming voice to say, this is the way it's supposed to be done. So as a result of that, you got Malcolm X fighting with Martin Luther King. You got Jay-Z fighting with Jim Jones and Tupac fighting with Biggie. We have all these different instances where there's two different opinions and everybody feels strongly about their opinion. You can't tell them they're wrong. So, this is what I'm saying regarding that. I think we have to let respect be the nucleus that we choose to move forward on. Even if you don't agree with somebody, there's a such thing as called respectfully disagreeing. There's also a such thing as called listening, because oftentimes when we argue, we're so concerned with getting our point across, we don't even want to hear the other person's point. So we have to start listening, and maybe we could work towards closing this generation gap. Lance Wins, 37 Deep TV. Let's go into another joint affiliated with my dude Hove, because we recognizing him today. You understand? And we moving forward. 37 Deep TV. Let's go. Lance Wins.